triple realm of ordered thought came first, a small beginning of immense ascent. As Ashwapati ascends, he visions a triple realm. Now it is very difficult to determine what exactly Sri Aurobindo has in his mind when he speaks of triple realm. Possibly after the summits of the thought mind, which are the peaks of mind as we know it, there comes the higher mind, while our mind has the thinking operation one by one thought at a time. The higher mind deals with a mass of thoughts all at the same time. A number of views, a number of thoughts, a number of truths come into the mind at the same time. So it is more comprehensive, more embracing, and simultaneous. Higher than the higher mind, we have seen, is the illumined mind, where truth is seen in flashes of truth, flashes of light. It is not so much the element of thought as the element of revelation that exists. You see things as they are. You don't have to think of them. Higher than the illumined mind is the intuitive mind with its triple or quadruple layers, where truth is evident by itself without a single operation of either thinking or revelation. Truth as it is presents itself. Possibly above that is the overmind. So here when he speaks of the triple realm of ordered thought, it is difficult to determine. It could be that, or it could be the highest three grades of the thought mind. But I don't think, in view of what he writes further, it is that. But I am inclined to think that these are the grades of higher illumined intuitive mind. Let us see. Small beginning of immense ascent. So where he has arrived at is only a small beginning of an ascent that is immense. Above his vision were bright ethereal skies of mind, a packed and endless shore, as if sky pressed sky, buttressed against the void on bastion light. When he looks above, he sees the ethereal, not clearly defined, not clearly outlined, but formed of ether, melting into each other, a number of skies, and as if each sky pressed against another sky, and all these skies supported themselves against a void, a vast void which in its turn has behind it a light concentrated as a bastion, as a wall. So you may say, against a wall of light there is an extension of void, and on the bosom of that void are these ethereal skies of mind pressing upon each other. The highest strove to neighbor eternity. The highest of the skies climbed to become a neighbor to the eternal. If the highest strove to neighbor eternity, the largest widened into the infinite. Some skies give the impression that they are soaring above, to be adjacent to the eternal, and some widen themselves into the infinite. Their slender borders melt into infinity. But though immortal, mighty and divine, the first realms were close and kin to human mind. These realms, the first of the three grades, though they were beyond the human mind as we know it, though they were immortal, mighty and divine, had something linked, some relationship with the human mind. Their deities, the guardians, the functionaries of those realms shape our greater thinking's roads. Not our normal thinkings, but our higher and greater thinking's roads are determined, shaped and laid by the deities of these heavens, of these realms. A fragment of their puissance can be ours. At least a small portion of the innate power of these realms can be ours. Their breadths, these breadths, were not too broad for our souls to range. Our souls can surely go and walk in those breadths. They are manageable. These heights were not too high for human hope. Human hope could expect to reach those heights. Now here again, a triple flight led to this triple world. It could be that on three simultaneous levels of the higher mind, the illumined mind, and the intuitive. Those lines led to that triple world. Because even though we have not reached those planes, their activities are at work in us. We get intuitions, we may get illuminations without having established contact with those worlds. So possibly these heights, a triple flight led to this triple world. I prefer to leave this line undetermined till we finish this canto. Perhaps some light will dawn by the time we reach the end of the canto. Let us see. Although abrupt for common strengths to tread of this triple world, its upward slope looks down on our earth walls. It is not all pointing upwards, directed upwards, but it has a look pointing to the status of our earth on a slant, not too precipitously steep. Anyone climbing that slope, which is not very steep, one could turn back, traveling deep descending lines to commune with the mortal's universe. That is, a person who has reached those heights would not be necessarily lost to the earth world. He could still maintain link, he could still descend and ascend, keeping up communication with the higher worlds. The mighty wardens of the ascending stair. There is an ascending series of steps, and they have got guardians. They are the gods who are guarding the stair. The mighty wardens of the ascending stair, who intercede with the all-creating world, intercede for man, intercede for man's world, with the all-creating world, the primal sound. There waited for the pilgrim heaven-bound soul. These mighty wardens wait there on the steps for the heaven-bound soul on a pilgrimage to the Spirit. That is, there are heavenly messengers waiting for us to help at crucial junctures in the course of our ascent of consciousness. Holding the 1,000 keys of the beyond, there is not one key to the mystery of the beyond. There are 1,000 keys. So no one philosophy, no one experience can claim monopoly of truth. He puts it in a poetic way, holding the 1,000 keys of the beyond. These wardens proffered their knowledge to the climbing mind and filled the life with thought's immensities. The greatnesses, the vastnesses of thought, with them the life of the climbing mind was filled. The prophet hierophants of the occult law those higher beings. Hierophant is one who interprets, who explains a mystery. So these people knew, and they would interpret the occult law of the universe. The flame bright hierarchs of the divine truth, the priests, flame bright to indicate the divine character of the divine truth. Law is the process of the action of truth. Interpreters between man's mind and God's, these hierophants, these hierarchs, they bring the immortal fire to mortal men. They not only wait there, but they also bring the knowledge of the divine truth and occult law. They interpret the mind of God to the many minds of men and bring the immortal fire to mortal men. That is, they link the mortal state of man to the immortal state of God. Iridescent, putting out the colors of a rainbow, bodying the invisible. What is invisible normally? It is embodied in these beings. Call them the wardens, call them the prophet hierophants, the guardians of the eternal's bright degrees, fronted the sun in radiant phalanxes. These guardians stood facing the sun of truth in radiant phalanxes, military formations, order, powerful, order with a design to be more effective. From afar, when you look at these phalanxes of these guardians, they seemed a symbol imagery. They looked as if they were a system of images symbolizing, interpreting certain truths. They seemed a symbol imagery, illumined originals of the shadowy script in which our sight transcribes the ideal ray. He says, our sight, our human sight, interprets and notes down the ideal ray of truth, ideal manifestations of truth into some sort of script which is not clear, which is shadowy and vague. Now, these guardians, that imagery, looked as if they are the illumined originals, alphabets, letters of the shadowy script that our imperfect sight has written in transcribing the ray of the ideal, or icons figuring a mystic truth, small images, small idols figuring, forming so many figures of a mystic truth. That is, looked at from far, they look like either figures or figurines or originals of a script which is very shadowy to man. But nearer, but when the person goes near them, They don't look as symbols, as images, but gods and living presences. They are the devas and devatas. From far they look like mystery symbols, but if we are fortunate to go nearer, we feel, experience them, gods and living presences. Now he again describes the steps leading to the summits. A march of friezes marked the lowest steps. The lower steps of the ladder is marked on both sides with friezes. Friezes means small decorative or artistic figures, sculpted or painted on the stands, on the staircase, balustrades. A march of friezes marked the lowest steps, fantastically ornate. They were so ornate, so much of artistry that it was fantastic, and richly small. They were so small, so well carved. Even such a small figure had so much richly carved content. And these friezes, however small, however fantastically ornate, they had room for the whole meaning of a world. They were not just drawings, not just figures, but they were expounding the whole meaning of the universe. Each figure stood for a certain truth. Symbols minute of its perfection's joy. Each figure reflected the joy of perfection in this world. Strange beasts. There are also forms of beasts, animals, but it was clear. Strange beasts that were nature's forces made alive, like tigers or lions. Now each represents a particular force of nature. Tiger, it can be a majestic fury. Lion, leonine courage. Deer, a fleeting speed. That is nature's force. Strange beasts that were nature's forces made alive. They were so much alive. And not only beasts are there, not only the figures of gods and fantastically ornate symbols, but wakened to the wonder of his role, man grown an image undefaced of God. Even man was represented there, but not man as he is, the imperfect creature on earth, but an undefaced, undeformed image of God who is awake to the wonder of his role. A role as a reflector of God, as a figure of God. And there were also objects, the fine coin of beauty's reign. Each form, each object was a coin, a beautiful coin of the reign of beauty. That is to say, each object was a citizen of the kingdom of beauty. but wide the terrains where those levels serve. Those levels of these triple realms served wide terrains, very vast grounds in front of the ascending epiphany. Epiphany, fresh births, new births coming up at every moment. Now, in front of the ascending epiphany, there were other beings, world times enjoyers, favorites of the world bliss, masters of things actual, lords of the hours, playmates of youthful nature, and child God. God as a child needs playmates, and these beings were not only playmates of youthful nature, but also companions of child God, creators of matter by hid stress of mind, by a hidden compulsion, stress of the mental vibrations, they create matter ultimately, whose subtle thoughts support unconscious life. Our life may be unconscious, but it is supported by subtle thought energies released by these beings, whose subtle thoughts support unconscious life and guide the fantasy of brute events. All are not such fantasies as they appear to us. There is a guidance, there is a hand behind the fantasy of brute events. You may find them cruel, you may find them unbearable, but there is a purpose, there is a guidance leading to some predetermined end, whose subtle thoughts support unconscious life and guide the fantasy of brute events, stood there. That is in front of the whole assembly, leading up, ascending to the heights. These company of enjoyers and bliss favorites and masters and playmates, creators of matter by the stress of mind, all these were there, a race of young, keen visioned gods. They were very young gods with bright eyes, king children, born on wisdom's early plane. They were the princes of the world of wisdom, taught in her school, world-making's mystic play. These children were being educated in the school of wisdom, in the art of world-making, and the world-making itself is a mystic play. And they were being trained how to take their part, play their roles in the mystic play of creating these worlds. That is, these are young, keen, visioned gods. Obviously, all these planes are high above mind as we know.